Okay, so yeah, today we're going to talk about the client-server model. By the way, can you guys see my my Roblox Studio?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, and this model, okay, actually, let me make another Chrome tab. Allows us to clients to communicate with each other in a game. Okay, so when we play a game on Roblox, or when we play really any game, because basically every single game uses this model, our computers are hooking up to a server somewhere, and so and this server is giving us information about, like, maybe maybe I'm playing a game like Valorant. Okay, so I need to know the positions of everyone else, and I also need to know, like, I need to hear sounds of like a flashbang going off, and I need to hear, like, I there's a lot of information that I need to know in order to play the game properly, and so the server serves me with this information, and the client is receiving that, and so that's why we see these arrows here. The client also likes to request information from the server, so that's why we see this arrow going to the server, making a request, and then the arrow goes back. So they communicate with each other. But notice there's no arrows going between clients with any of these pictures. Okay, and that's because oh, that's because let me see here. There's usually a really good image that I like to use. Okay, well, anyways, let's say we have this. Okay, we don't want these two players to communicate with each other, because if player 2 has, like, maybe some malicious intent, player 2 could maybe send player 1 some information, or maybe even remove some information that player 1 could use. So for example, um, maybe player 2 might want to send player 1 um, some like inappropriate image, or send player 1 some, or like maybe player 2 might want to decrease the health of player 1 against player 1's will, or something like that. So we don't want player 1 and player 2 to be able to influence each other's information. We want all communication to go through the server first, and these players theoretically should not be able to mess with the server, because the server will be programmed to, like, sift through the information that's being sent to it, like correctly. Okay, so but bottom line, the main takeaway here is, if the player wants to, so let's go back to Roblox here. So okay, Roblox is really cool because it allows me to show the client view. So this is me, the player, okay, the client, and I can see the server view. Okay, so this is what the server is seeing right now. And let's say I, the player, want to change this part. Okay, I want to change this, color this part to like a red. Okay, so now the player just made some changes to the game, and basically communicated to the game. Okay, but the server does not see these changes. Okay, this is still a gray part. Okay, and I can also go a step further and start a game with like 2 players. And so this is going to be my server view, and then this is going to be my client view. Okay, so I have two clients. Okay, and then this server, and again, player. This is player 2, I think. Yeah, or no, that's player 1. That's player 2. So player 1 is going to change the color of this part to red. But player 2 does not see this change, okay? And the server doesn't see the change either, okay? But on the server, I'm going to change this to red. And so now both player 1, or to make that more clear actually, I'm going to have the server change this to blue. So now the server made a change. And now player 1 sees the blue and player 2 sees the blue, okay? So Roblox does not allow players to make changes to things and have it like communicate to the server or the other players, okay? So you might be wondering, how can I allow the player to make a change, and why would I even want the player to change the color of this blue part? So so let's say I had a button on my screen here. All right, and this button is going to change. I'm just gonna call it color changer. And when I click this button, I want to change the color of this part. Okay, so I can add GUIs that sit on a player's screen by adding a screen GUI to starter GUI. And the screen GUI is a container for like other UI elements. So like I can add a text button, I can add a text, okay, I can add a frame or a frame. So a frame is just like a background. So these are one of the three most popular frame elements that people will use in their games. Okay. Okay. So now, okay, but the problem is, if I want to detect when a player clicks this, okay, I can only do this on the client. Okay, I can only detect when this button is clicked on the client. Okay, so what I mean by this, okay, right? So we've been learning about a lot of objects, okay, in Roblox, and we know that every object has properties, and every object has their own functions and has their own events. Okay, so for example, if I make a variable for this button here, so first the screen GUI is the parent of the script, so I'm gonna say it's equal to script.parent, and then the color changer is a child of the screen GUI, so I'm gonna say color changer is equal to screen GUI dot color changer. If I do color changer dot, okay, I can see the properties and the events. Okay, and I see there's an event called activated, so it seems like what I want. Let me make this save. So let's say I had a function called function print words. Okay, I'm just gonna print hello. All right, and I want to do this function when the color change is activated, so I'm gonna connect print words. Okay, so now if I play the game and I click, okay, I see this prints. Okay. However, so you might notice that I have this code written in a local script. Okay, if I add a script, however, in a regular script, okay, so same code except this is in a regular or server script. Okay, so the difference between these is this code is only executed on the client, okay, and this code is executed on the server. Okay, so what I mean by execute is if I were to play, I just disabled the other script, by the way, but if I were to play this, I see that this print is coming from this blue. It puts the blue here to show that we're on the client, and I also see this blue outline to show that we're on the client. It even says client right here, and then this like monitor's blue, but Roblox lets us know that we're on the server by putting everything in green. But the server does not see this print statement because this print statement is only on the blue. So any questions so far there?
I'm good so far. Thank you.
All right. So now, okay, let's undisable that script. Okay, and I'm gonna disable this one. So if I click this, oh, I don't see any prints. This is because this event does not fire on this if it's in a server script. Okay, or so I connected over here. I connected this function to this event here, and so this event gets activated or gets fired on the client, but there are definitely some events that are not fired. So even though I connected this here, I have no bugs, I have no errors. Okay, this even though it's like I can connect I can connect a plug to an outlet, okay, but electricity will still not run, or electricity could just like not run through it, if that makes sense. So even though I have connected this event to this function on the server, there is no current running through this. It would only there would only be current in the connection on the client. Okay, so now that we understand this, okay, that I can only detect when like a screen button is being clicked on the client. How do I change the color for everyone? So like if I were to, let's make another function called change to blue, and I'm gonna make a variable for this part. So this part's a child of workspace. So I say part is equal to game dot workspace dot part, and I'm gonna say part dot brick color is gonna equal brick color dot new, and then really blue. So we're going to connect change to blue. Okay, so remember this code is only going to run on the client. So if I click this, it changes to blue, but the server does not see it. So I need a way to tell the server to make this change. Okay, because I can have a function. Let's say make another function called communicate to server. Okay, so I can have this function always run, okay? But I need this function to do something that will tell the server to do this function, okay? So I'm actually gonna move this here. So the object that's gonna allow us to do that is called a remote event, okay? So I'm gonna click the plus on this replicated storage and add something called a remote event, okay? And how I explain it to students is like I think of like an actual remote. So if let's say for some reason we had a TV with no buttons, okay? So you only had the remote and the TV, then the only way you could tell the TV to turn on would be to press the power button on the remote. So the remote allows um, the communication between you and the TV. And so without this remote, there's no way to turn the TV on. There's no way you can make changes to the TV. And so it's the same thing here. I can't make changes to this part unless I have this remote here. And so I'm gonna make a first off, any questions there so far? I've been using some
No, I'm good.
interesting analogies, so I've been told by my friends that I have terrible analogies, so
No, I think they definitely worked in this case.
all right.
Yeah.
So now, um, so the remote event is a child of replicated storage, and so what functions does this remote event have? So let me see. All right, I see that it has four main or three main functions here. I see one function called fire server. Okay, and so this looks like it might be useful to us. And it says it fires the remote event dot on server event. Okay, so we're going to get into what this guy here is, but this is one of the events of here. So we have two events: on client event and on server event. Okay, so first, to communicate to server, I'm going to say remote event colon fire event, or no, fire server. Okay, and then now the server needs to be listening for this communication, because even though I'm sending this communication, the server is not open for it. So I need to add a script here, and again I need to make a variable for the remote event. All right, and so on server event is just like any other event. Okay, every single event we've learned about till now follows like the form dot event name colon connect. Okay, the difference is though, most of the events or all of the events we've used up until now, Roblox took care of like firing them or activating them. Okay, so like when I click this button, I don't have to worry about writing code that's going to activate this event here. Or like when we learned about click detectors, okay, I did not have to worry about, all I had to do is set up the event for the click detector. I don't have to worry about like writing some code that's going to trigger the function that's connected to the event. So well, the only code that I do have to write is I actually have to make the connection, but I don't have to worry about anything else after I make this connection. But here, not only do I have to write the event, but I also have to trigger it myself using this fire server function. Okay. Give me 1 second, actually. All right, so now when we fire the server, I just need to connect a function to here. So I'm gonna make a function called change to blue. And all this is gonna do is gonna make the parts brick color blue. Okay, so let's say when the server receives this event, I'm just going to change to blue. And let me delete this. Alright, so now, okay, if I click this button, this is blue, but let's see what the server sees. And the server sees it's blue as well. Okay, so we can use the remote event object to allow the client to communicate to the server, and this is 99.9% of the time mainly useful for if your student wants to make a GUI make some change in the game. Okay, so once you get past making the fire server and then connecting this, all the code that you're gonna write is the same. Like now you can write all your like logic that you want the server to do here. For example, if I wanted to make a, so I think last time, or I don't know if this was in a training session, but I think I was with Caitlin. Oh yeah, I don't know. This wasn't a training session, but I was showing her how like you'd make a proximity prompt shop. Okay, so for example, if I was to have a proximity prompt and let me name this shop, and let me get a sword from the toolbox. Nope. I'm gonna put this in server storage. Okay, so the idea was that like I want to be able to go up to this thing and press E and purchase an item. Okay, so this is an easier shop because you don't have to worry about writing client server code, right? And I think most shops you should just use the click detector and proximity prompt at least the first time, and then you could say like for version 1 the shop is going to be like a physical shop, but then if you really want like a GUI shop, we'll do that after we create a physical one, because they're basically going to be the same thing. It's just GUIs can be fancier, I guess. But let's say the student wants to transfer their in-person, or first let me get this in-person shop working again, and then we're going to see how we would implement it as a GUI. So let me add a script here. Okay, so the proximity prompt is a child of the shop. Let me make a variable for the shop first. And then I want when the proximity prompt is triggered, I want to do something. And that something that I want to do is I want to purchase weapon. Okay. So how tools work in Roblox, okay, is if I want to put this tool inside of /73's inventory, every player has something called a backpack. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to duplicate this sword. Okay, I can only do this action on the client, by the way, because if you notice, or on the server, because if you notice, the client can't see anything in the server storage. That's why it's called server storage. But the server storage can see it. But the client can see what's in the replicated storage. Okay, and the server can see these. It's called replicated because if you see like the picture here, it's like an icon of like arrows going between two rectangles. The right rectangle is supposed to represent like the server, and then the left rectangle is supposed to represent the client. So yeah, that's what that means. So, but what I want the server to do is to duplicate the sword and then make it a child of /73's backpack. So now it's in my backpack and I can flip it. So when this event is triggered, it passes in the player who triggered, and then I know that the player who triggered has a backpack. And the sword is a child of this server storage. So I'm going to say classic sword is equal to game.serverstorage.classic sword. So the classic sword has a function called clone that returns the cloned object. So I'm going to say sword clone is going to equal classic sword : clone. And then I'm going to make the parent of this sword clone the backpack. So I'm going to say sword clone dot parent is equal to backpack. And so now every time this proximity prompt is triggered, I should get a new sword. Okay. So now every time I interact with this, I get a new sword. With a shop, though, you'd probably want to first check if they have enough money, and to do that, you'd probably first want to set up some sort of stats. But yeah, this would be this would be the main idea with the shop. So now, what if I want to do this with a button? Okay. Well, I already have this line of communication set up here, so I don't need to do anything here. But on the server, I basically want to do the same function here. So I'm going to copy this function actually and paste this here. And on server event, I want to connect the purchase weapon. Okay. And the cool thing about the remote event is it gives us the player who fired. Okay. All right. So just a reminder, there's no like right way to name this parameter. I'm descriptive with it. I could have just said P as well. But now oh, I need to make a variable for the classic sword. So now if I press play, I click this, I get a sword every time I purchase it. Okay, so same exact thing. I just had to go through like a layer of I guess they say it's indirection, just to tell the server that I want to purchase this. Um, all right. Any questions there?
No, I am good.
Awesome. So now, so yeah, any changes you want to make, like making a door, if you want like a door to change when you click it, or if you want a player to teleport. So Francis, I think, had a student who wanted to make like a screen button that would teleport you, not like a proximity prompt button. And so this is definitely what she would have to do. All right. So so the reason
So
why.
how would
Go ahead.
how would you go about like making it so that they could only purchase one sword?
So that's where we would need, or like one sword, like using money, or like they can only get like one sword at all. Like you don't want them to get duplicates at all.
Yeah, like so it stops them from getting duplicates.
I see. So that's a good question. So basically, we want to see, does the backpack already have a child called Sword? Okay. So if the backpack already has a child called Classic Sword, I don't want to do any of this. So
So you just put like an if statement in the function.
exactly. So if,
Okay.
and we need a function that's going to search through the children of backpack and either give us like false if there's no children with the name, or true if there is. So every Roblox object has a function called find first child. So I'm gonna say if backpack colon find first child. Okay, and then this function takes a string which is the child. Oh, I need to define this first. So if backpack colon find first child classic sword, then do nothing else. I can do this, or I could say also just not. If not, if I do not find the sword in there, then give them the sword. And then press play. Alright, so actually that's actually a great question. So there are definitely a lot of times where we want to check if something has a child in it. So find first child is very useful.
Okay, yeah, because like I know I have kids that if I put that in, they would totally abuse it and they would just get about 100 swords. So
For sure, for sure. All right. So yeah, so next week I wanted to start showing how you make like a combat game, and the reason we need to go over the client server model is there are another thing that can only be done in local scripts. Okay, so there's three things that you have to use local scripts for: buttons, okay, animations, and if you want the player to like press E or press Q or press F or press any keyboard button to do something. So your keyboard buttons as a player are also client-sided. So the server can't tell which button you're pressing. So we have to detect the button press first on the client, and then tell the server to do something about it. So for example, I'm gonna add a script into starter player scripts. Okay. By the way, if you're ever wondering like where the stuff in these starter things go, they're like the word that comes after the starter shows you like where those items go. So for example, if I put this classic sword in starter pack, okay, those items go into my backpack when I start the game. Okay, so so like if you see your students like they probably got some like tons of tools from the toolbox, and you want to remove them, you have to go to the starter pack and remove them from here, and then starter GUI. Okay, these items get put into my player GUI, and starter player scripts. These items get put into my player scripts. So, okay. So now, okay, this will be the last thing. Let's say I wanted to change the color of a part when I press E. Okay, so actually, we'll go over that next week. We're fine for now. All right. Any questions?
I think we're good.
All right.
Me too.
So I'm just going to